This is the Halfling Burglar. This class does have a few little adjustments that are going to be made to it, which not going to be huge, but probably of any of the classes that I do have a few tweaks in the way some things work. But the core of the class is still here. So we're going to go over it. The Halfling Burglar, there he is. He's got his little hat on, kind of a looks like a wizard. He's got a sling and a staff, and he's with the pumpkins, and the other halflings are there. So kind of a kind of a fun little class, whimsy, kind of a basically a mage thief. Um, AD&D if you're looking for gnome halfling type mage thief. Then you have another one little burglar down here where he's stolen from these monsters and he's trying to sweet talk his way out of it or disappear or something. And it just kind of captures the both ideas of the class, the thief element and the wizard. Attributes: low strength, as low as the Grey Elf Necromancer for different reasons, but very small. Solid con, very high agility. Charisma ranges anywhere from a little bit below average to really good. They can be very charming. And then intellect, actually, they're not terribly intellectual. They're kind of, simple kind of agrarian creatures, but they do have access to magic because of their magic touch. That's kind of their weakness. They're kind of dumb and can be kind of fun to play. Just kind of a little bit more of a whimsical class. Halfling racial traits. The damage die is reduced by one category with all weapons, but he gains +1 attack, defend, and damage, and an extra damage die. So instead of doing a d6, he does 2d4 plus 1. So actually a bigger number overall, but very solid damage is how they deal that. With slings, the bonuses improve even further. So expert in the sling. They have a great love for magic rings, trinkets, and gems, and skilled in the pursuit of obtaining lucre through many means, both licit and illicit. Anytime he is stealing, cheating, or deceiving someone, or haggling and assessing the value of an item, gains +3 to the roll, as well as all stealth checks. So high stealth bonus, even higher than the thief. The thief can get higher actually, and eventually reaches that point where he's better. But halfling thief, just or halfling burglar, very stealthy right away. Bonuses anytime he's stealing or cheating or deceiving someone to checks made to attribute checks made to do that. And then the big bonuses to slings especially. We had Dumb Luck and Magic Touch. Dumb Luck is the burglar is blessed with blind dumb luck akin to his halfling nature. So once per rest, he adds or subtracts his blind luck that is the result of the die to any roll. That can be damage rolls, attribute checks. I mean, obviously, when you're rolling d10s, bonuses can make huge differences just to one roll, though. So it can can get very interesting. But just once per rest, and then in addition to that, dumb luck ability, and it scales with the percentile from 2d4 to 6d4. He got all these sub features. There are a bunch of interesting ones. Bullseye, an extra damage die with ranged attacks, 2 extra damage die. So if you want to be a sling master, bullseye. Cheat death, it's a big bonus to his con checks to avoid death. Dunce fruit gains him an extra proficiency. He actually has some really cool proficiency options, so he can be pretty effective. Gobbler and Oinker, one of my nephew's favorites. He can summon a wild turkey or a flying pig to fly around on, and it's pretty entertaining and interesting. And opens up all kinds of possibilities for the. It is expensive. It costs 25, but it's a very effective when it's used. Giant slaying, same as the dwarf, plus d20 damage against giants and half damage from their attacks. So again, if you want to be the giant slayer with your little sling, again only against giants, but they're a big threat. They're a common enemy in a lot of campaigns, and they're quite powerful. So he and the dwarf together can be very effective. Great reversal. Once per rest, when the burglar and ally rolls a fumble, he changes it to a critical. My nephew loves this ability. Thrice per rest, you're turning these fumbles into criticals. My one nephew seems to fumble a lot, so the other one likes to, it can be really fun. And again, it's just the idea is it's just dumb luck. It just happens to get lucky. Gullible dupe. The halfling steps in front and takes a hit for someone, and the damage is cut in half, and he takes no ill effect. So it has like a paralysis or petrification, whatever the ability is. you take nothing. So the idea is just kind of gullible little halfling steps in and takes the dragon's breath for the for the whole party, and it only affects him, and it's just a fun little idea. Kind of bad luck, but it turns into be good luck, in a way. Ham-fisted gives you if you want to be a melee halfling. Definitely doesn't fit as much, but it can work. You can build them that way. Um, but if you want to be a in melee, you can use melee weapons that way. Hog wrestling, just hit point based bonuses if you want to be more hit points. Juggling gives you offhand weapons you can use. Only goes to 4 though, because you're only going to be able to do it with light weapons. Treasure hunt, this is a kind of unusual one. So once per rest, when the burglar finds or steals treasure, he either doubles the amount of coins or gems found or adds to them one random common treasure. So it's kind of be fun going around the tavern, pickpocketing people, and hey, random little magic treasure comes out. Or you encounter this 500-piece gem. Nope, actually, I encountered 2 of them. What are the chances that? So actually, really, really effective, really fun, um, and pretty useful. Again, they're common treasures, healing potions, but they can get pretty interesting, and you can definitely start collecting a lot of treasure that way. The other element, other than dumb luck, is magic touch. Burglars possess a natural affinity for the arcane and often spend time as wizards' pawns, gaining understanding of magic. So you do get one cantrip, which was something I was debating with this class. That's a design decision. I probably am going to give them one cantrip. They're going to get one first level and one second. The first level has a fairly high spell power based on percentile. So one really powerful level 1 and a pretty standard level 2, and then just a few spell points. They just have a few little spells, but they're potent for what they are, and they've got that little magic touch. So one first, one second, one cantrip, and then some really powerful arcane, kind of dumb luck themed magic touch thing. So arcane oddity, once per rest, when the burglar is harmed by magic, he ignores all effects and instead gains 1+1 spell point. So again, the disintegration trap goes off. Obviously, that's extreme, but and it just fizzles, and I've just absorbed its magic somehow. What are the chances? But yeah, that's just how it works with halflings. Disappearing act. Once per rest, the burglar can cause himself, an object, or another creature to disappear into thin air, becoming invisible for 1 minute. Invisibility is incredibly powerful. He can do it once per rest, himself, an object, or another creature. So, I mean, he can make the thief disappear, and the thief can just run around waylaying everybody. It has lots of uses. It is expensive. It costs 25, but quite potent. Feather falling. You and your allies just float down to earth without taking damage. Again, kind of niche. Depends on the campaign, but it can save you from some nasties. It can give you escape routes that you never intended. Jump off some high cliff and just float down all the way down, and so has its uses. Grand Doofus. Once per battle, when the burglar is harmed by magic, he ignores all ill effects and reflects them back upon the source. This is the one that will likely get tweaked. And then the reflected damage is doubled and ignores AR resistance and immunity. That became a little bit over the top. You take a 75 holy damage and reflect 150 back. It's only magic. That's probably what I was talking about. Some of these might get a little tweaked, but the core of the idea of reflecting it when he's harmed, only by magic, not any ability, but just a magical effect, he can reflect it. So it probably will get tweaked a little bit, but the idea is there, the Grand Doofus. Hat Rabbit. Once per rest, when an ally uses a common treasure, the burglar doubles or duplicates its effects. This is the other one that's kind of might probably get tweaked, but the idea of him just kind of pulling a rabbit out of his hat, just kind of doubling, just kind of a magic trick, um, that will be in there. Pipeweed. Once per rest, in addition to his other actions, the burglar heals himself and all allies. And a little toke on his pipe. So just a little magic pipe heals everybody. Wizard Stooge. If you just want to get spell points, you don't normally have a bunch of them, but if you want to load up on spell points and just become more of a wizard than a thief type, then go for it. You can load up on magic touch, and again, some of these spells can be quite potent. So um, and then his proficiencies, 2 proficiencies of his choice from any class. He has the broadest selection. So the little halfling burglar, very resourceful. I had a necromancer. He had like the necromancer's enthrall ability. He was mind controlling people, and then he took I think climb walls. And he was a neat little character. But yeah, you can pull any 2, and then if you want to, you can take where dunce fruit. The idea is you kind of eat this magic fruit that gives you an ability permanently, and you get three of them. So you actually have the broadest selection of proficiencies if you build it that way. So very, very, a lot of different types of halfling burglars. They're really, again, one of my nephews, one of his favorite classes, and pretty entertaining and really fun to play.